We left the campsite today to drive out to town and we fell into a little bit of trouble. Have a look at this. Picked the biggest puddle. It's not a puddle, it's a lake, isn't it, Toni?
Yeah, it's all...
Okay, Harry, how bad is it?
Oh. Alright mate, let's let it go.
Alright, starting to fall now.
So I've crawled into the back seat because I can't get out because I'd be swimming if I got out.
Okay, left hand down.
Might be easier if me and Toni get out and walk. Ain't gonna happen.
No, it's deep in there.
You might have to go in the back.
Alright.
Are we not getting out, Harry?
It's just that you've dug yourself into a massive hole. Yeah.
My rescue attire.
Yeah, we got everybody out of bed. Good on you guys. Okay, now today we're going to check the rear brakes. You saw the video where Anita ran the car into a big puddle, big mud patch, and she got it bogged with another friend of hers. So what we're doing today is we're going to pull the wheel off and double check the rear brakes. I've noticed that the handbrake is a little bit spongy, so I've changed the brakes probably a couple of months ago, the front ones that is. Now it's time to have a look at the back ones. They were a little bit down, so I'll have a look, and if need to change, we'll change them and make sure that all the brake and suspension out the back after being in the mud is all safe and well. So let's get to it.
I've given Harry a gift that just keeps on giving.
Got to mention this, safety first. I've got a stand. As soon as I undo the wheels and I lift up the car, the stand has to go under the car. Never ever go under the car without a stand or something. The wheel that you take off, put it under the car, so if it ever drops, it does not fall on top of you. So safety first, remember that. Okay, just loosen the wheel nuts, and going to jack up the car. I attempted to jack up the car with a high lift jack, and that wasn't steady at all. So I brought out the original jack that comes with the car, put a couple of blocks underneath, and I'll jack it up and we'll take it from there. Let's go. Okay, car is up. Stick the stand underneath now. Take the wheel off. Check underneath, make sure everything's okay. But when we put the wheel back on, I'll show you a little trick, because these wheels become really heavy. But I'll show you a little trick on how to get them on with less hassles. Okay guys, if you can, grab something solid. We're in an area where the ground is really soft, so I've got one of these block of timbers that I normally put underneath the caravan to stabilize the legs. So I'm using one of those and the stand. Let's go for it. Geez, those tyres are heavy. This bad boy's got me out of trouble so many times. It's got everything in there: sockets, spanners, ratchets, 3/4, half-inch, screwdrivers, pliers, Allen keys, all in one. Got me out of trouble. Okay, they still have a little bit of meat in them. Just want to show you guys. That's the pad here, and there's a little lip there, which is the metal part that holds the brake pad. I don't know if you can see the difference there. There's the little lip. Now there's a little bit of meat left, but since I've got the wheel off and the caliper off, I might as well replace them. It's that way I've got peace of mind. Front ones are brand new, rear ones will be brand new. Just checking to make sure there's no damage with the ladies actually putting the car through that big puddle and they were stuck. So actually what I'll do is, with the next one, I'll show you what I do to replace the pads. It's not hard, but if you're not confident, do not do it. Get a professional to do it, simply because it is your safety on the road. I pulled the rear discs off and had a look at the handbrake pads. They're a bit low as well, so they will need changing. Didn't order those because I didn't actually pull them out and have a look to see what they were doing. So next town we get into, I will actually pull out the brake, the handbrake shoes. They're not pads, they're shoes, and I will replace those. But for now, they're not a danger. They're a handbrake one, so these ones are the ones that pull us up and they stop every time you put your foot on the brake. The handbrake just holds everything, holds us in place. So I'll clean it up. It is full of mud in there, all the mud that got in there yesterday, so I'm going to clean it all out, pull out the compressor, blow out all the mud and everything else, give it a bit of a scuff down with a bit of sandpaper, and we'll be good to go. I'll do the same thing on both sides, but when I do the other side, I'll give you a rundown how I do it. Alright, just about to put the brakes on, or the brake pads. Cleaned the handbrake shoes off. So come with me, I'll show you something. When you're replacing whether front or back pads, you must cover the master cylinder because what we're doing is we're going to push the piston back, and that piston is going to push the brake fluid back into the reservoir. That reservoir, if it pushes back really quickly, will overflow and get onto your paint. We don't want that, simply because brake fluid is a killer to your paint job. So you don't want to do that. Throw a rag over the top and you push the cylinder back slowly so it comes back into the reservoir slowly. If by any chance you get it onto your car, best way to get rid of it is pour water on it, and pour it properly so you can get rid of it. So I'll do this. Over the cylinder, and that way if it decides to overflow, that rag will stop it from going onto your paint. So I'll put that on and I'll show you the other side what I do. We did the passenger side, we've come around the driver's side rear, and I'm about to pull the wheel off on this one as well. Pull off the calipers, pull off the disc. Do the same thing on this side where I cleaned the handbrake pads, or handbrake shoes I should say. I gave it a good blowout, bit of sandpaper just to roughen them up a bit and get rid of any unwanted dirt, because it was in the actual mud and it got stuck. So let's get into it now. Okay. Come around here, dear. I just want to show everyone there's 4 bolts that I undo. And those bolts to disconnect the caliper, which this is your caliper there, and this is the brace of the caliper. This is what holds the caliper together. This here has got a bolt right up the very back here, and then there's my other finger there. That one there is what the caliper. So I'll take this one off, and directly underneath that there's another one, and directly underneath this one is another one down there. So disconnecting this one first gets the caliper out, which removes the brake pads, and then taking this one off and directly underneath that removes the frame or the brace of that, and then the disc actually comes off. So removing that, we get to see the brake, or the handbrake I should say, the handbrake is in there where the disc is. So I'll do that now, and then we'll come back and I'll show you where everything is. Okay, what I'm doing here now is I'm using the screwdriver to push the piston back so I can fit the new pads, because obviously the pads are a lot thicker than new ones. The worn out ones are thinner, and what happens is the piston actually pushes up against the pads every time you apply the brake, and it wears it down. So when you want to put the new pads in, you must push one of the pistons back, and that's what I'm doing with this. So that'll open up and allow the new brake pads to go in. Bit hard doing it on your knees, but anyway, this is what they look like. Semi nut and semi pin when you're actually undoing the caliper. And that's where it slides coming in and out. Every time you apply the brake, it actually slides on these things. So yeah, the caliper is almost off. There's the caliper. And there's the brake pads. Okay. Oh dear. These are the 2 bolts, and there's the brace that I've taken off, which allows me to get onto the disc, and I'll check the handbrake now. And don't forget to disengage the handbrake. Okay, this is on 200 Toyotas. Some cars will have them and some don't. There's a little rubber grommet there, and that grommet is the access to adjust your handbrake if need be. So if you remove that, you'll be able to adjust, but I need to check the brakes inside and make sure there's not they're not being rubbed by all the dirt and all that sort of stuff, or not rubbed, but if it's got dirt in there, it chews up the pads a lot quicker and rubs into them. Okay, I've just adjusted the handbrake. Always remember, if you can't get the disc in comfortably or nicely, then the handbrake is over tightened. So back it off, and that's what I was doing then. I was backing off the handbrake. The disc fits in there nicely now. When I pull the handbrake up, should be spot on. But there's two ways of doing it. One is you lift both wheels up and pull that grommet, the rubber grommet that I mentioned on the disc, and adjust it that way and make sure it's free spinning, and you'll be able to tell. But like I said, guys, make sure you feel confident in what you're doing. If not, always take it to a professional. So I'll put the pads in and put the wheel on and take it from there. Okay, what I normally do with this is those sliders, I usually get a bit of grease. There goes the compressor. A little bit of grease, that helps the caliper to slide in and out as you apply the brakes and take the brakes off. This is where it slides, so I put a bit of grease to make it easier. And anyway, yeah, we'll put it back on and see what happens. Now, for everyone out there, I am a mechanic, and I do know what I'm doing, sort of. So, but it's a good thing to know what's involved. Even if you can't do it yourself, at least you can ask the right questions when you do take it into a mechanic. Brake pads are on. Next thing you need to do, go inside the car. You've got to pump the brake pedal. That pushes the fluid, the brake fluid, back into the lines, because remember, we pushed it back so we can get the new pads in there, and that will actually keep the pads at the right distance. So when you apply the brake, the brake pedal is not really soft. So we'll go in and pump it. But I did mention at the start of all of this, for all four-wheel drivers out there, or anybody towing a caravan, especially on these things, these tyres are extremely heavy, so it takes a lot of effort to lift it. But I'll give you a nice little tip. I'll show you an easier way of doing it, but it does require a second person. But I'll show you what I do to make life easier. Let me pump the brake and I'll come back. Okay, I've got Andy from next door. He's camping next to us, and this is the secret weapon that I was telling you about. And I'll show you what I do with this. Makes life so much easier, because these tyres and wheels are very, very heavy. Okay, Andy, this is yours.
Hello all. You want me on that side, don't you? Yeah. I'll give you...
No, back should do.
Yep.
Back should do. Just get it in. All right. Push it underneath as far as possible. That's it. Lift. That's it. It's as easy as that. Just some leverage and the wheel's on. All right, I'll tighten up the nuts and make sure they're nice and firm, and job's done. See you later, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
There's another episode gone. Hope you enjoyed it.
Showing Anita and Toni going into the mud hole and the recovery, and also some of the things that I had to do to make sure we're safe. And sometimes it all flows out. Come on, man. Sometimes it flows out and sometimes it doesn't. What do you think? I'm doing it on purpose? Why don't you start?
I did start.
And?
Start again. Just go. Anyway, don't forget to hit subscribe and like. Harry, have you got anything else to say?
Yeah, what have you learned, Anita, with all of this?
Don't forget to leave home without the GoPro.
Oh, no.
You'll see the recovery, and it was taken with the iPhone. Samsung. No iPhone.
It was taken with a phone. We don't know what phone it was, but it was taken with a phone.
It was my phone.